How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm joined by myself and Mr. Justin. How you doing, Justin?
Yo, great. NBA playoffs are here. This Western Conference is about to get real crazy here over the next couple weeks.
We're going to be talking about Suns versus Clippers, but before we get into that, guys, make sure you check out Champions Round. Use this promo right here. NBA playoffs are coming. I am so excited. I think this is one of, if maybe the series I'm most looking forward to. There's so many storylines. There's so many matchups. You have superstar players. I'm pumped.
This series is, if we would have talked about this at the beginning of the year, Matt, this would have been a Western Conference Finals potential preview, right? The Suns, without all the moves that they made and things that they've done throughout this season, they were a team that we considered a top three team in the Western Conference. The Clippers, we talked about their depth all season long. And now here these two teams are meeting in the first round of the playoffs, the 4 and the 5 seed. The Suns are supposed to win this series because, they have a new player since, offseason stuff. A guy by the name of Kevin Durant on the roster now. This team has not lost with Kevin Durant on the floor as a starter, playing his normal minutes. They look unbeatable. So the season-long stats, they're 2-2 against each other this season. That doesn't really matter. That's thrown out the window, right? Obviously, the Suns, we're not the same team as they are now with Kevin Durant, who's fully healthy. What do you think about the Suns, Matt, heading into the series?
I like the Suns. I think this is a tough break for the Clippers, especially with Paul George being ruled out in the first round. I want it, like I said it in our last episode, I'm a Clippers fan in the playoffs from the West. Okay, that was the team I was rooting for, but I just don't see how this team is going to get by the Suns. I just like.
Well, with
Kevin
the Suns,
Durant.
though, man, like we talk, they obviously they have the pieces, right? They got Kevin Durant was a traded piece. Devin Booker and Chris Paul both missed time at different points of the season, and then they lost Mikal Bridges. They lost some of their other pieces in that trade. How are you feeling about this Suns team? Do you have any concerns? Like I know as a Clipper, the Clipper quote unquote fan now in the playoffs, there might be a little bit of concern on the Clippers side. What about the Suns side?
Yeah, I was watching a couple nights ago, and I think Biyombo got hurt, or maybe that was yesterday or 2 days ago. It looked like he got hurt pretty bad. I'm not sure really what the status is. We'll throw something up on the screen right now. I do have a little bit of questions about their depth, but at the same time, you're adding Kevin Durant to a team that went to the NBA Finals, that is supposed to be, one of the best teams in the West. I think Durant's going to turn it up. We know Booker, CP, all these guys have been there. Ayton, like they have the experience. Monty, like this is a team that very well could go out and win the whole thing. And if you're a Clippers fan, you just got to be thinking to yourself, like, why couldn't it have been the Kings? Why couldn't it have been the Grizzlies? Like, this is just a worst case scenario, personally.
It's like you played better and got the worst matchup, right?
Exactly.
But, the Suns team, for all the things that we're going to talk about, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker throughout the series, and how short this series could or could not be, they do have a little bit of lack of depth. So we've seen Kevin Durant be banged up. We've seen Chris Paul be banged up. We've seen Devin Booker be banged up at times this season. The depth is going to be a real big factor for the Suns team. Maybe not so much this series, but on the other side of the ball, the Clippers do have one of the deepest teams in the league, even without Paul George, who's expected to be out for the entire first round. Now, this Clippers team has gone through some massive changes. We saw Bones Highland and Mason Plumlee, just pushing each other a little bit there towards the end of the season. But we saw Westbrook kind of fill in his role here over the last few weeks as well. What about these Clippers, Matt? Because you did say you're an honorary fan this postseason. So talk a little bit about what you like about this team.
I think Russell Westbrook is my X factor. If Russell Westbrook has a huge series, I think the Clippers, can make it close. They could definitely go 6 or 7. There's no denying the fact that the Clippers, they could outshoot anyone. Like the way they shoot the ball, like when they're hot, obviously Kawhi Leonard's gonna do his thing come postseason as he always does. But I look for players like Eric Gordon, Terrence Mann, like some of these other guys, like Batum, like some of these other guys have to step up. I don't know. I just think it's such a bad matchup. I really do. It just sucks if you're a Clippers fan. Like, if Paul George is playing, I think it's a different story. I think it'd go either way, but without Paul George, I don't see how they're going to get it done.
This team, I think it actually works right now for Russell Westbrook. You mentioned him being an X factor, and he gets to play a larger role this series, right? Yeah. With Paul George, he would have been playing a B role, and we see he's not really good in a B or C role. It's like he needs to be an important part of this offense, and I think he'll play better, and especially there's a little bit of a revenge factor with
Oh
these two
yeah.
teams, right? Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, even Chris Paul, they have a little bit of back and forth with Russ. Like Russ has caused a lot of controversy with these two teams. And, when we talk about KD, there was one time when he was like, hey, I'm going to name, top 5 players I ever played with, I enjoyed playing with. And Russell Westbrook was not on that list at all. So I know Russ is ready to give it to the Suns, man. So obviously this team, we talked about the depth there. We talk about some of these late round, these problems with Russell Westbrook, and maybe down the clutch there might be some definitely issues. But in a 7-game series, a lot of times things iron out the way they're supposed to. Matt, talk to me about your prediction for this series and why.
I'm gonna go Suns in 6. I think at the end of the day, they're just the better overall team. I do believe that the Clippers are going to win a couple games here. They're going to use, their bench to their advantage. But ultimately, games on the line, you got Devin Booker, you got Chris Paul, you obviously got Kevin Durant. Like, you got so many different guys can go get a shot that can make something happen. As long as they stay healthy, knock on wood, Kevin Durant, I think this is a team that could go out and win the whole damn thing.
When I look at this series, 7 games, for everything that Phoenix has offensively, I think the Clippers can provide some of that defensively. Kawhi Leonard's still one of the elite defensive pieces in the league. And they also got guys that play roles on this team. You talk about guys like Robert Covington, who has playoff experience and wing experience. We got guys, big shot makers like Norman Powell on this team. Just some of those secondary pieces for this Clipper team may be able to help out. So I'll give it 5 games for everything that I feel like the Clippers can put up defensively and where we've seen clutch action a lot of times from Kawhi Leonard. I think this is the Sun series to lose. That big 4 is going to be tough to stop. And I'm not sure the Clippers have enough answers. Like you said, if Paul George is in this series, playoff P, maybe I swear.
Where would you lean? I was going to say, where would you go there if Paul George was playing and healthy?
If Paul George is able to play this series, I put it a 7-game series. I still would have the Suns winning, but I think that the Clippers would put up more of a fight, and in the home court would be more of a factor too. Suns would win it at home in Game 7. I think that the Suns handle business. There's just not enough firepower. When you look at, Kawhi, he's going to drop 30. You got to have Russ be perfect Russ every game. And with Russ, he's kind of an inconsistent player offensively. So where I think he'll be good at, facilitating the offense, getting the board, pushing the pace. There's just a lot more with Russ that comes in a 7-game series continually to try to win. So I think the big 4 is too much for the Suns. Now, if you had to give it a 1 out of 10 chance, or out of 10, chance that the Clippers win this series, what would you put it out of 10?
I'm going to go 2 or 3. Yeah. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be like shocked, like out of this world, like if the Clippers somehow won this series. I think there's always a chance. Just because I think Kawhi, like if we saw Kawhi Leonard just take over multiple games, right? Yeah. Drops 40, 45 points, locks down on defense. But I'm still hanging around that 2 to 3. I think if the Suns lost this series, people would be like, oh my gosh, like, what now? Like, what's going to happen with Phoenix? Right. Like, how could, Durant and this team not get out of the first round? So I'm going to go 2 to 3. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's like a 1.
A 1? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the Clippers have any chance of winning this series. If they did, it would take some Herculean effort from Russell. We'd have to see a completely different Russell Westbrook in order for this Clipper team to win. I think Kawhi versus Kevin Durant's already a problem. Then it's Russell Westbrook and the sidekicks against CP3, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. I just don't think that there's enough firepower totally on this Clipper team. It's going to be a struggle for them this series. I think they have no chance.
Anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts and your comments down below. Make sure you do check out Champions Round. Again, use this promo code right here. NBA playoffs are upon us. For myself and Mr. Justin, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.